So should I start?
Will start with the.
Okay.
All right. A very good evening to all the hackers and other viewers. I am Abhishek Mead, your host for Day Zero of Pune's biggest hackathon in our 5.0.
And I'm Divyangana. We welcome you to the commencement of our magnificent hackathon in our 5.0. We have been relentlessly working to make this hackathon a memorable one for all the participants, teams who have already presented their very innovative ideas. The Nerve leads have guided us throughout the event with
All right.
comprehensive
A very good
adherence
evening to all the hackers and other viewers. I am Abhishek Mead.
uh, and comprehensive adherence and all-embracing cooperation. 2021 is expected to be another one of the most eventful years. Amidst these events, we aspire to make enough significant to you and arresting.
We would like to extend our enthusiasm and apprise you that this year we have expanded nationally and became one of the India's biggest student-driven hackathon with massive participation of students across the country, coupled with around 25 plus participants, judges, and sponsors from other countries. EIT has acquired recognition on miscellaneous international platforms. Innerve 5.0 is a hackathon annually organized by the Open Source Software Club of Army Institute of Technology, Pune, for students, developers, and tech enthusiasts to explore their expertise in developing innovative products for the society.
Due to the virus infested country, this year we have diligently and with great perseverance orchestrated this hackathon by hosting the most splendid and magnificent hackathon that we possibly could. And we have acquired the fate of aggregate 23 sponsors who facilitated the prize money for 5.0, which is 1 lakh rupees for the winner, 50,000 for the runner up, and 15,000 plus consolation prizes with goodies. We have invited speakers who are purported to be innovative, professional, and result oriented men with exemplary problem solving skills and are renowned to have an impeccable mastery in subjects in concern to the hackathon and its participants.
All right, perfect. So today we have with us one of our alumnus and the CEO of Urchalo, Mr. Varun Jain. He's the co-founder of one of our sponsors, Urchalo, and is well equipped and certified with different programming languages and software development, but is more lean towards entrepreneurship and economic, business, and other marketing strategies. He's recognized to be innovative, professional, and committed man with exemplary problem-solving skills. Sir is renowned for his impeccable sincerity and admirable entrepreneurship recognition. He has an in depth understanding and considerable experience in building technology, travel products, service applications, product strategy, and design, and has also worked with Persistent. Well, that's not all. He's also a founder member of Taviska Solution Private Limited. He's passionate about new ideas, evolution, conceptualization, and execution of innovative technology solutions in travel and consumer technology. So, we hope to have you lend an ear to his penetrating, insightful, and tactical speech and attend this event specially orchestrated for the hackers.
With a great round of virtual applause, please welcome Mr. Varun Jain on the screen.
Over to you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Abhishek. Uh, my should start, right? Okay. Hi, guys. This is Varun. First and foremost, my heartiest congratulations for the entire OSS team from AIT to organize this hackathon event. And all the best to all the participants who would be participating this year. And I wish you all the best right at the beginning. So I think, well, first and foremost, again, thanks, Abhishek. One more thing, I have never heard anyone talk so long about me before. So thank you for that, and with too many kind words. Uh, Honestly speaking, I'm a simple guy, with simple things. And as such, engineers, as engineers, we always are meant to think about solving things that are put in front of us. And I think as an entrepreneur, the only thing that I do is to actually look at each problem in a similar manner and try to find some solution which could, work in the scenario that is in. So that is what I do. As far as this talk is concerned, it's not as if I've come with a thought agenda about it. So I was looking forward to actually having questions. As Abhishek has already talked about, I run a small company. It's a travel company which is working for the armed forces and the paramilitary forces of the country. We help them travel from one place to another. That's what we do in Urchalo, and that is why the name is Urchalo, because we primarily hope to take our soldiers through the flights rather than traveling in trains, which is the primary mode of travel for the Indian Armed Forces. So that's what we've been doing. Prior to that, for over I think about 12 years, I think I was working with Taviska, another software IT company, also working software for a lot of companies, especially banks in the US, to actually help their credit card customers use travel as redemption for for their travel. So that's what we've been building on. Today, Taviska is about 350 people company based out of Pune, and it's done quite well because of a lot of people, not me, really. But that's what I've been doing. And what I would like to do maybe in today's session is take a few questions, because I think since we are talking about kids and we're talking about people in college, and of course, we've just gone through a very terrible time in terms of in general economic and business activities across the globe because of corona. So I'm sure a lot of people might have certain questions that you would like to ask. I can't guarantee to answer all of them, but I can give you my perspective about it, and you can take what you like and you can ignore what you don't. So I think that's what I can do probably today. So,
All right, sir. So we'll start with the questions. The first question is that the first step is generally the scariest. How did you know that you wanted to make this idea into a business?
okay. So, let me answer it in two parts. I talked about, Urchalo is actually my second organization or second startup. So Urchalo actually was incubated inside Taviska when I was working in Taviska itself. And my co-founder in Urchalo, Ravi, the idea about building travel or doing something with travel was actually Ravi and a couple of his friends who actually had that idea. I was primarily, you can say, in some ways, a little bit of mentorship that I provided while they were trying to commercialize the business idea, while being in and around Taviska and trying to build technology around it. So that's how that this particular business started for me. In terms of why we ended up doing Urchalo for the armed forces, came mostly from crisis, because whatever business idea or business that we initially started to do, that was not flying. And because it was not doing well, we were at a position really where we had no money, we had nothing else to try. And really it was the last attempt in terms of whether we could provide flight tickets to people who go for SSB. So how we started this idea really, or how we pivoted to today's idea of Ujjalo, came from really you can say a decision that we are no longer going to try what we were trying to do in Urchalo. And Ravi actually went to give SSB to join Territorial Army. And when he went there, we saw the opportunity and we started from there. So, that is why at times you never know where the opportunity can strike. And really, you can say the first real lesson of entrepreneurship is persistence. That if you're not persistent about what you want to do, then at any moment of time you can decide to close, which we almost did with Urchalo. But as soon as the idea or an opportunity comes, you should always be ready to make the best out of it. I hope that answers this question.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's on the Urchalo side. When it comes to Taviska, which was probably the startup that many of the people in today's age group would be looking to do, which was about getting out of college, getting to work, or to build or to be an entrepreneur. It's always a difficult question, and I've seen lately that a lot of students today probably start working on their ideas even while in college, and with the hope that and the dream to convert it into a business once they get out of college. And I keep seeing that more and more every year. All I can say to kids out here is that you should never underestimate the value of working in a professional or a corporate environment. Uh, there are a lot of things that you learn while working in a formal setup. For example, myself, I worked for 3 years in a software company before I quit my job and decided to take a plunge really into entrepreneurship. It was a tough decision, but decisions become easier when you don't have responsibility and you have confidence in yourself. So all I can say, when I was probably around 22, 23 years old, the only thing that drove me was I was never afraid about having a job, and I knew that if things don't work out, I could go back to a job. But one thing was clear in my head, that I didn't want to do a job just for the sake of doing it, and therefore I thought that trying to build a company which could be better than what I was working in or what I was seeing around me, if that was an opportunity that I could have, then we should definitely grab it. So working life does give you a little bit of structure, a little bit of understanding of how things work, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, how to behave, how to talk. A lot of things which unfortunately while we are in our college days we don't necessarily know, and they become some sort of hindrances when we go and try to build a company or try to commercialize an idea. So if you are confident about those things and you are good at, for example, activities or an understanding of how business operations and organizations work, then it is good for you to start right after college. But generally, just like people advise in MBA, or if you want to go do an MBA also, that you should have some amount of working experience behind you, because it changes your perspective a little bit from a student to a professional.
Right.
And that is only something that you can experience, that is not something that you can learn from videos or reading a book. So that would be my small advice, that it is always good to at least spend some time in a formal corporate or working environment. It could be a startup in itself, so that you understand how the other side of the startup looks like. Because when you are at as a business owner, your world will look quite different than how a person who works with you and who works beside you, how they look at the same environment. So if you're not experienced that, and you don't play or you don't haven't worn both the hats, then it is very difficult for you to have empathy towards the other side. And therefore, being on the both sides is at some point in time in your life is quite essential, I feel, and helps you be more humble as well as more empathetic. So yeah.
All right, sir, that was good advice. So the next question is that what was the biggest hurdle that you faced while setting up Uchalo, or setting up with the company?
So see, there are no biggest and smallest problems or issues. I will tell you that uh, running a business any business or any company is also almost like a person. So just like in your life, you have to go through different emotions and you have to go through different phases of life. Similarly, every organization goes through the same or similar challenges, problems, happy and sad moments, as well as you actually grow up, right, like individual is from a baby to an adult and then to a elder, and sometimes die. So as such, the organizations or any business faces that. So there are challenges, for example, in Urchulo that we've had, I would say external challenges that were big. One was probably the Jet Airways closure. We lost a lot of money during that time, which was stuck. Jet Airways, and that was a very tough period for us. Corona similarly was a very difficult time, probably the most difficult, I would say, in terms of its total impact on the organization, because the impact wasn't just financial in nature, but it was actually a problem that spanned through to the employees and everyone else as well. So, right, everybody was confused and everybody was to a certain level scared. So that was probably one huge problem. To the time that, for example, I gave you how we started, where we started selling tickets at SSB Center in Bangalore, and there were times that we didn't have money and we had people who wanted to buy. So it was a unique problem to be in, because you have to pay money to the airlines. So we didn't have enough money to pay to the airlines, but we have had more than enough customers who wanted to buy tickets from us. So that was a very, very unique challenge that we faced, I can say, for a period of time. So those are different challenges, and there are many more. I mean, challenges and problems keep happening. Doesn't matter. You just have to put your head down and get through it.
Right, perfect, sir. It's more like pandemic taught us a lot of things, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. I feel so. Yeah, it's really very inspiring. All right, so the next question. See, when it comes to college, I feel there are a lot of importance given to patents for research purposes. Like, according to you, is patenting something that comes up often when running a startup?
So it depends on the business, right? Everything cannot be patented,
Hmm.
and everything that can be patented should be patented. So I would rather say the answer lies in that. So you need to understand that businesses which are more towards building things which are unique, which are new in the world, if you are doing something new, it is really stupid not to patent your work if it can be patented. And if there is a commercial value that is already identified from it, then I would say that there should be absolutely no reason why not to patent it. What does patent really help you in is actually barrier to entry. So one of the key tenets for building any business is to look at what are your barriers to entry and what is your unique value proposition or USP, right? Your what is it that's different about you, and at the same time, how are you ensuring that somebody else can't just do exactly what you're doing? And that's where patents really come in. So if it is something which the patent can help you prevent a competitor from entering, then you should have a patent. Similarly, if that patent can help you be very unique, and similarly other people can't generally just walk in and do the same thing, then you should patent it. But if you're trying to patent something which cannot be patented, then you should not worry about patents, but you should actually try to create environmental, internal, people centric reasons. There are a lot of reasons by which you can create a barrier of entry. So really what you're trying to do is, for any business, it's important to, what I said, create the unique value that you can give, and at the same time create certain amount of barrier to entry. And as long as you're able to do that, you have a better chance of success.
Amazing, amazing, sir. It sounds amazing. Yeah. So it leads to me like the next question. This is my favorite question. So yeah. So sir, what is one decision that you absolutely do not regret in your company, like in your journey, the complete journey?
I don't regret anything. I mean, why would I regret anything? And nobody should, right? There is So I would say that there are just two types of experiences that you get. One is success, and the other is experience. So uh, I don't think that there is any point where you should look back and try to see whether you could have done better or you should have done better. But I think what you should learn from it is how you can do it better the next time. And as long as you keep doing that, there is actually very, very little things to regret. Uh, if there could be, in general, one thing that I regret possibly is more related to my behavior and my decisions. So I can be harsh at times, I can be angry at times, I might scold someone at times, or I can talk, maybe I talk rudely to sometimes and to someone sometime, and those are the probably only moments that I would really regret. Other than that, there is nothing to regret.
Right, right.
So, do you have any interaction with the competitors in the same line of business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, competitors are not someone to be you can say avoid or uh, look at them as a problem for you. Competitors are generally validators of your business as well, right? If you are in a business and there is no competitor, there's something wrong with you, and probably either the demand doesn't exist or people don't want what you're providing. So unless it's a regulatory need for a single business to appear in a particular industry, every industry will have peers, and therefore rather than competitors they will be peers when you interact with each other. And we do the same. So in a travel business we have a lot of peers and we keep discussing uh, on opportunities, on things that we do well, things that we don't do well and we need help, which maybe somebody else has found excellence for. So collaboration does help. You can always keep your USP close in a manner which doesn't actually hurt you at all, because lot of very you can say accomplished leaders have said many times, culture is what defines an organization, and culture can't be bought and sold. So just because somebody even knows after a while how and what you do, if it's part of culture and it's not part of the other company's culture, you really can't be copied and you really can't behave like anybody else. So as long as you keep doing that, even to a lot of extent, information sharing becomes very simple because you're not afraid.
All right, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, go on.
yeah, Divyan, I'll take from here.
Mhm.
So, sir, I have this question that so far that I have read that Orchello is a bootstrap company, right? You haven't taken funding from any external sources. So even after such so many years, and so, giving revenue growth of 500% as far as I can see on this India Times, how are you managing to grow at such a large scale with just bootstrap, or is it hard to compete with angel funded companies and VC funded companies?
Okay, it's a good question. See, why you are bootstrapped and why you are funded, right, comes from a very basic premise. Uh, Business models require capital, and business model needs to generate money, right? And why companies get funding is primarily to shorten the gap between the capital and the earnings difference, right? So many companies take funding, or pretty much all the companies take funding where you are unable to meet the expenses that you're going to bear from the earnings that you make, right? For us, luckily, that's not been the case, more often than not. And whenever we had that case, we were blessed with family and friends who could actually loan us the money that was required. So, in that sense, that is the reason why we were bootstrapped, and till date probably we've not taken funding is not for the sake of taking money, right? You need to have purpose where the money is going to be spent, and you must have reasons why you will not be able to recover that money in a short span of time, or you will not be able to you can say repay that money in a debt based environment. Again, funding, again, for you kids, I mean, I don't know how many of you would know, funding means equity, right? You're selling a part of your company to someone for some money that they give to you. Now equity is very expensive, right? Think about it from a perspective that you've bought a computer and somebody has paid money of that computer, so you, or your laptop, and therefore your laptop in part belongs to someone. Now you're working on something and that guy says, I've given you 20% of that money for that laptop, so 20% of that laptop is mine. So he can take that laptop away from you at any point in time for that 20%, right? On the other hand, if you would have asked your friend to say, what, loan me that 20 rupees or 200 rupees or 2000 rupees that I need to purchase the laptop, and I will pay you back after a period of time. Now you're in control of your laptop. He can't come in any time, or she can't come and say, you know what, I want the laptop because I'm part owner of the laptop. And therefore now you are much more, you can say, free from the overheads that come of ownership of your laptop. At the same time, you can, if you can pay back the friend the money, then it's a much better thing to be in. It's cheaper, right? Less headache. You don't have to worry about 10 things, how that person will feel. What if you break the laptop? What if the laptop doesn't look good after some time, right? You're answerable to that person. So funding is not a, you can say, it's not a yardstick to measure an organization. It is a way to understand that the organization needs funds which it cannot generate today, and the purpose might be towards acquisition of market. The purpose might be to build product which otherwise cannot be built. An example could be SpaceX, where they're building something that doesn't exist, and therefore they need those funds, and they cannot generate the revenues for it, and therefore the funding becomes important. And funding comes with strings attached, where you're answerable to those who give you those funds. On the other hand, debt is cheap. So you take the money, and as long as you can pay the EMI, you don't need to answer anyone. So you have to make that tough call, you can say. And for us, it came from that reason. And to be honest, nobody wanted to give us money in terms of equity, anyways. So once or twice we tried. The cost of money was too much. The conditions that the investors were putting on us were too extreme. And as founders, we did not want it. So we stayed away from the investment conversation.
Right. So yeah, thank you so much, sir. That was really what I wanted to know exactly. So next question is little bit personal question, if you don't mind. That many of us want to get into entrepreneurship for money. Even I want to get into entrepreneurship for money. So how exactly life changes about getting a lot of money from coming
Okay.
from the backgrounds that we are.
So let me be fairly honest, okay? I don't think I would not have achieved what I achieved if I would not have been in entrepreneurship. So I want to categorically say that if you feel that being an entrepreneur can help you make money, I think you're doing the wrong thing. Okay, because see, money comes from your abilities as an individual and the type of work that you do as an individual and your ability to do that over a period of time, right? The quantum of money might be slightly different, but it's not okay to say that being an entrepreneur will end up making more money, right? Entrepreneur can potentially spend the entire life without making money, right? Which would never happen in a working environment or as a working professional. So my advice to anyone who thinks about entrepreneurship from money perspective would be that don't get into it for money. Get into it for some other thing which is much more closer to your heart. Like I gave you an example that why I did entrepreneurship was primarily because I was not happy with how the organization I was in was treating me as an individual. So my issue was not to do with more about money or anything else, but it was more related to thinking that we can create a better organization. And I think with 12 years that I spent in Taviska and a lot of people you can talk to who worked in Taviska, I think we did a good job, which is what we went there to do. The founders didn't come because there was money as a end game from it. Because honestly speaking, when your end game is very trivial like money or could be anything else, if it's trivial, you will not take the right decisions, you will not take the tough decisions, you will not take the decisions which are in best interest of your people, of the work that you do, and in turn it will become bad decisions for your company. So money is something which is required to run an organization, but money is not the end product of the organization. So my thought in that is pretty different. I don't believe in getting into entrepreneurship for money, and I think that That is not entrepreneurship, that's businessmen. Businessmen get into business to make money. And there's a clear difference between businessmen and entrepreneurs. And if you can't identify it very easily, then you will end up becoming a
Yes.
businessman rather than an entrepreneur.
Yes. Great, sir. So now just one last question from my side right now. That it's been long that since you have left college, sir. So how exactly life is different, in a startup than what was in college? Because in college you have a lot of things, assignments, you do coding as well. But how exactly is it different for so many years?
It's part of life. I mean, there's no easy answer to how different is it. It's just about how college life is different than your school life, how your school life was different from your childhood, right? Things change. As an individual, we live in a social world, and therefore the social status requires and the social responsibilities require us to behave differently at different times, right? When I went into work, I didn't know how to talk to people. Probably I didn't know whether to say hi or hello. I didn't know, if a person asks me a particular question, what type of answer should I say. And something I would share with you: every fresher that comes from college, right, and the first thing that if you ask anyone, when will a particular job be done, the answer is always tomorrow. And that's a very very common trait that I've always found since my own days when I moved from college to work, and then everybody else, every fresher that I've met. And it's a fair thing because you don't know, and therefore you don't know. And since you don't know, you don't want to say today, and because you don't know about today, then you think kal to ho hi jana chahiye. So that's how thing is, right? And life as such keeps changing. It's a sum total of your experiences. So my life would be very different than yours, and yours will be very different from Divyangna, and everybody will have a different life. So don't worry about it. What all I can say is look forward to the experiences. So if you look forward to the experiences, the chances are that you will not do it with a sad heart and a sad face. You can at least enjoy whatever comes in front of you. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Great, sir.
Thank you so much.
That's it. Thank you.
Sir,
We
so
have
I'll,
certain questions from the audiences as well. If there are any audience, I don't know.
Yeah.
there are, I'll
So
just,
I was here with audience questions. These were
Okay, 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 fine.
Yeah.
so sir, I'll continue with my questions. So the next question is that networking is essential when creating your own company. So how did you approach networking for your brand?
So to be honest, actually, I am not the best of people when it comes to networking. I'm not a very outspoken, outgoing individual. I've generally been lucky that I've had people around me who were good at that. So that's another thing that you need to understand as an entrepreneur, that you are not supposed to do all the jobs, right? You need to be around people who can help you do those things that you're not good at. And that's where you start from. I would say every person or every group of people who are thinking about starting a company, they should first and foremost look at each other and see how different you are from each other. Because if you're not different than each other, then the chances are that you would have similar problems and you would have no one to take care of it. So the more diverse and different individuals are, the chances are that the team or the founding team is that much better. When you are very similar in, you can say, capabilities, abilities, nature, the way you talk, walk, it becomes harder rather than easier. So my answer to networking would be you should have at least one person who can just walk into a door and talk to anyone. If you have that person with you, then you have a networker with you, and that person will help you open doors for you. And either you can train yourself to be that, or if you're not good at it and or you don't want to do it, then you make sure that somebody else is there. It's not something, I wouldn't say that that's something that you can that comes out of the box. You can obviously, with age and with experience, be better at it, but there is no easy solution to it except you can say people who are born with that flair to talk and to just go into the unknown when it comes to people, and you can recognize those people quite easily. So it's better to start there rather than for introverts like me to try to be outspoken, or a flamboyant person.
Perfect. Yeah, it's more like having an amazing team behind your back is indeed very helpful. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Yes, sir. So, like next question, the second part of the question asked by Shubham sir, I would say, and it's again a personal question. Sir, do you approve of students beginning startups during or right after their college years, or they should gain some experience working for other companies and or corporate world, and they should at least taste that flavor and then jump into entrepreneurship? So, what's your take on this?
See, there's no right and wrong when it comes to business or entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, right? There is nothing wrong. So there are good examples where people have been able to do it right out of college. There are good examples where 50-year-old people, after 30 years of service, have created amazing organizations, right? There is no right wrong about it. What is more important to know is that what is it that you want to do? And I think where people generally tend to go wrong, I would say, when it comes to entrepreneurship, that everybody thinks that entrepreneurship is about having an idea and be able to somehow make that idea viable, right? Everybody, especially in today's world, seems to be at that race to find a new idea to work with. And I think they will, everybody will realize that when they get into the world of building an organization, that idea actually doesn't matter more than 10%. So whatever your idea is and however good it is, it actually doesn't matter. The skills to be and to persist in the tough world are actually very different than your capabilities to build or your abilities to think through. The you can say the traits that are required or the abilities that are required are more related to perseverance, persistence, uh, being a good person, being able to keep your team together, be able to work in a team environment, be able to lead, be able to convince, be able to negotiate. I mean, those are the skills and things that matter. Actually, the idea as such in itself actually has a very little value. And I think all I would say is that a lot of people or a lot of young people I see get kind of washed away with that thought that just because we have an idea, we can go ahead and build a organization. So it's something like, anybody can cook. If anybody would have seen the movie called Ratatouille, right? You can cook. I mean, anybody can become a cook. But if you want to be a great cook, you need to be great at it. You can't be a good or great at building companies if you don't understand the semantics of building companies. You can't, or if you can say you have a lower chance and it will take you a harder path for you to reach there. Where organizations or working in organizations can help is if you know what type of organization you're trying to build, first make yourself capable to at least work in such organizations. If you are there, then you at least have that path to understand how those organizations are and what is done in those organizations, so that when you decide to build your own, you know where to start from. You're not starting from absolute scratch. And I think that is where I find lot of people get swayed by the fancy word that it looks for entrepreneurs, but they actually don't realize how lonely it is and how difficult is it. And only after a few years you actually realize that, and that is why 99% of the companies fail.
Right. It's difficult, but it's worth it. So, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, sir, we'll take some questions from the comment section. A lot of people are asking questions and they're enjoying this session. So one of the viewers is asking, how did you come up with this name of your company, Urchalo? It's amazing, So
So actually, uh, the name actually came from we already had a different name. When we came and with this friend, and one of the friends unfortunately had to leave, and we had certain arguments with that person, and so that name could not be used. So we had to look for a new name. So when we were looking for a new name, we had a lot of different names, and one of them just came as Urchalo. And the only reason why we kept it was that was the name that always gave us a reaction. So it was never other words were like trips and travels and other things, and nobody could actually. Everybody thought that they're okay, but whenever we said Urchalo, everybody would just raise their eyebrows that it's a different name, and that's how we stuck with it. So it wasn't as if we did a lot of research to find it. We had about 3 to 5 names that we had in front of us. Urchalo always gave the most, you can say, strong reactions whenever it was said. So that's why we said at least the name would be something people won't forget.
right,
That's why we
perfect.
chose.
All right. So do we expect Urchalo to sponsor us for Innov 5.0, sir?
What do you mean by expect? I don't know. Will you send that?
Yeah, we'll definitely do. We'll definitely do.
Is, so is it already not sponsored? I mean, isn't it too late for asking for sponsorship?
No, for Innov 6.0, sir, the next edition.
Absolutely. I don't see why not. I mean, I mean, as such, we're a small organization. Whatever we can do for our college and both of us being from AIT, we never say no to those things. So you can expect.
Right, perfect.
Also,
Uh,
sir, I have a question too. Like it's a personal question that a lot of people like myself are scared of starting up something like be it losses, less opportunities in the market for one's ideas, or just not wanting to do all the brain work as the head of the organization and not having, much adversity quotient with yourself to handle all that pressure. What would you like to, tell people like me regarding entrepreneurship? Like, how could you?
So,
Uh,
okay, help me understand the question correctly. Are you saying you want to be the entrepreneur, but you don't want to walk the 9 yards? What is required for it?
no, maybe people are scared about, losses, less opportunities, and maybe, not having enough value for your idea in the market, something like that.
Yeah, so here's my point, right? I told you before as well. Keep telling that to people. See, entrepreneurship is just another option, right? Just like you can be an actor, you can be a software person, you can do any other profession. So it's just like other professions. It's also a opportunity profession. If you're not strongly inclined to it, my best advice is don't get into it. Why do you want it? There are so many other thousands of things that you can do which can lead to happiness and with least amount of pain. This is a very painful journey. So if you're not willing to go through the pain and be ready to know that at the end it will still might be a failure, don't get into it because it's not worth it. There are much better, more you can say happier life that you can live, and definitely go and do that. I mean, there is nothing wrong with it at all. So, my advice to anyone who has any questions or any doubts about doing this is always going to be that when you're ready, when you're mentally ready for it, right? Only then take it. There is no need. Don't look at others and don't look at what others are doing to get into that. Know what your strengths are, know what you're good at, and do what you like to do. So, in terms, what I would say to anyone is that as a profession, your profession should always be in some way a union of what you like to do and what you're good at. So if you can find that union and if you can find that opportunity for yourself, it is a much, much better life than doing anything else. 99% of the world struggles to do that work or do that job which you like to do. So if you can find that, that is much beyond anything else. Entrepreneurship or any other profession that you talk about doesn't matter. So most of the time, I would say entrepreneurs get to become entrepreneurs due to something or the other that takes them away from what they're doing, right? Even in college, and therefore they are able to sustain the difficulties that come along the way, and because of the people that they're with who help share the pain. So that's why you end up doing something, not because of your internal ability or qualities or other things. But if you have opportunities to do other things or better things, you should always do that. Don't just get into it because of others are getting it. You should really really want to do that, to be in this space, because it's so hard.
Yes, sir, definitely. Um,
All right. So, sir, we'll quickly end. Just before ending, we'll have like two more questions. A lot of people in the comment section are asking like this question. They want to know the revenue model of Urcello. I don't know. Four people asked this question. So yeah,
Sorry, can you
the
repeat the
revenue
question?
model of Urcello.
Revenue model.
Yeah.
So revenue model in travel is quite simple, right? We are primarily a travel company. We've really recently started a few other things, but revenue model in travel in general is very simple. So you have a product in, for example, it could be a flight ticket, it could be a hotel booking, or it could be a cab or any service like that. So you have a product or a service that you sell to a customer. The customer pays you money for it. The customer, in certain cases, will pay you a service fee on top of the service that you give. So if you're selling, let's say, for example, let's say you're selling a flight ticket, you might charge a convenience fee, which all the airlines provide, all the websites and airlines, everybody asks for. So you earn money from there. So that's one way to earn money. The second way to earn money comes from commissioning. So again, every product or service has certain amount of commission that the producer, in this case for example, could be the flight airlines, could be hotels, or in case of insurance it could be the insurance companies. So whoever is the producer might share some portion of their revenue to back to the distributor or the agent that is actually making the sale. So in that case, we make money from those companies as well. So one portion of the money comes from the customer, one portion of the money comes from the uh, producer, and we charge a fee for our service to both of them, and that's how the business works.
Perfect. All right. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, it does. All right. So the last question now. Sir, is there anything in particular that you would like to say to our audience and that we might have missed during the session, as a maybe something like a motivational line or something like that?
Motivational line. I don't know. I can say that you are young. Uh, Best time of your life, at least mine was. I'm sure many of you would probably remember these days, the days of your college as the best times that you had forever for your life. Cherish them. Don't be stupid. Don't do anything reckless. Keep your helmets on. I had a bad thing with that. So I would just say that look at life as an opportunity rather than a problem or a competition. As long as you do that, I think you will always find that whatever you do, however you do it, as long as you enjoy it, at the end of it, it's always sweet. So, and lead a life where one day you can come on this type of a platform and be able to say, I have no regrets. I mean,
Yeah.
that's generally what I would say is how everybody should look at the life ahead. And if you can do that and just do that day in and day out, wherever you end up, you'll be happy. And that's matter.
Noted, sir. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an excellent session. We are grateful to you for sparing us some of your time. The presence of an esteemed personality such as yourself is the highlight of a hackathon, and we hope to keep interacting with you further. It was an endearment to have you share your experience of life and dispense your cognition and understanding in the marketing world. I believe every viewer impeccably admires you for your in depth knowledge and entrepreneurship. Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Thank you, and
So
thank
yeah.
you for your time. It was lovely. And like I said, hackathon hai, so keep your ideas ready, keep your fingers ready to code, and hopefully whoever wins is justified, and everybody looks up to the winner. So all the best for everyone to be that chosen one. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. All right. So we are now reaching to the end of this particular session. I hope you all had an amazing time at this event. And also, this live would be saved on this channel. Please like the video and share it with your business-oriented friends. Let's make this a successful and a celebrated hackathon. Now, the link to the Google form would be shared in the comment section. Please proceed for the quiz round. The winners of the quiz round would be gifted enough merchandise, t-shirts, stickers. Good luck with that. All right, so this is our farewell for now. Stay tuned for more such amazing sessions. Till then, goodbye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Goodbye. Good day.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.